What's up, fellow 40k theorists? Welcome back to Theory Hammer. I'm the legendary Kevbot coming back at ya. And today we're taking a look at Tau, one of my favorite armies. They got a new detachment. It's okay, I guess. We're going to go over it today. It's called the Auxiliary Cadre. If you guys like the video, thunderhammer that like, subscribe, bell icon, leave a comment, check out the other videos, check out the second channel. I said first, damn it. Check out the other channel. It's where I just get upset playing video games. It's a lot of fun to make those videos as well. So anyway, we're just gonna go over this detachment. And like I said, it was surprisingly okay, I think. So this is what we get. Integrated command structure. Crute and Vespid. So immediately I'm like, oh god, really? Let's just read it. So Crute and Vespid units from your army have the following ability. Targeting triangulation, which is an aura. While an enemy unit is within 9 inches and visible to this unit, each time a ranged attack made by a friendly Tau Empire model, excluding Crute, Vespid Stingwings, and Titanic models, targets that enemy unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So, yeah, as long as you have a bunch of Vespids and a bunch of Crute, all of your other stuff can be getting +1 AP. Which is really, really good, because Tau ignore cover, now they're +1 AP, they got a million shots, they can be guided, they're hitting on 3s, sometimes with reroll 1s from stealth suits and stuff. So that's what we get. We get +1 AP as long as the Crute or Vespid unit is within 9 inches of the enemy unit, which you can easily do that. Vespid are fast, they move 12 inches. Crute have Scout, they also move 7. They're cheap. Vespid units are 65 points. Crute units are 65 points. So you can kind of actually build like 500 points of Crute and Vespid stuff, and all of your Tau stuff will be getting +1 AP. Now, Tau Empire units, excluding Crute and Vespid Stingwings, from your army have the following ability. Localized Stealth Projectors, which is an aura. While a friendly Crute or Vespid Stingwing unit is wholly within 6 inches and visible to this unit, that Crute or Vespid unit can only be the target of ranged attacks if the attacking model is within 18 inches. Okay, now admittedly, this is not nearly as good for Tau, because with these kinds of abilities where you want to be over 18 away and you can't be targeted, you're alone op within 18 inches, it's usually better on armies that have combat. It's not bad to have either way. I mean, it makes your unit not visible unless you're within 18 inches, makes people have to come closer, but sometimes be out of position just generally in order to be able to target that unit. So this is really interesting, because if we read it again, Tau Empire units have the following ability. So while you have Crute or Vespid units wholly within 6 inches, you can then make those units harder to hit. So this doesn't affect your Tau stuff, just to be clear. This affects your Vespids and your Crute. Not bad. I mean, you've got to be within 18 of like any of my stuff to target it, unless you want to target the Tau stuff. It's fine. It's fine. It's funny because Tau stuff, or Crute stuff, I mean, some of it does want to get into combat. Like the Rampagers, they're actually very good. They do D3 mortal wounds to you on a 4-up when they charge. I think it's on a 4-up. And if you have 6 of them in a unit, they're not that expensive. They also can scout 7 inches. You can do some very interesting things with this detachment, for sure. Because if you just take a couple units of Crute and some Rampagers and then like 3 units of Vespid, you can kind of cover most things, and you can get within 9 easily, especially if you're charging. And if you want to be charging, and you have other stuff that you don't want to be targeted, you can force them to get within 18 inches of you, which means they're going to get charged by something else. So I know I just said normally that this isn't very good because Tau don't have a lot of combat units, but the way that this is actually constructed, it makes those combat units things that you actually want to take, and they're good. They do impact mortal wounds. Like, they're pretty good. So I like this. I actually really like this a lot. Am I going to use this detachment? Probably in a test game or two. Am I going to play with it at a tournament? Probably not. But overall, I think that this is pretty good, for sure. +1 AP for all of your stuff, for all your Tau stuff. Can't be a target unless you're within 18 inches for all of your Crute stuff. I'm about that. It's pretty good. Student of Kayun is our first enhancement here. Crute Shaper model only. In the Declare Battle Formation step, you can select up to 3 Crute Carnivore or Crute Farstalker units from your army. They have Deep Strike. Okay. Fine. 15 points, you can give 3 different units Deep Strike. That's probably not bad. So, yeah, we'll take it. Admired Leader for 20 points. Tau Empire model, not a Kroot model only. In your command phase, you can select a Kroot or a Vespid unit within 12 inches of the bearer. If you do, until the start of your next command phase, improve the leadership characteristic of models in that unit by 1. And while such a unit is not battle shocked, add 1 to the objective control characteristic of models in that unit. Okay, so this is, again, going to be pretty nice on Rampagers. This might be the detachment where you take 3 units of Rampagers, and then the rest of your other Tau stuff that you like taking, like suits or hammerheads or whatever else, and just actually being able to play an army that has combat. So that's pretty interesting. +1 OC as well. I think the Rampagers are OC too. Don't quote me on that, but they're a pretty big model, so they're probably OC too. Either way, if they become OC2, that's 12 OC from that unit. If it's on just a regular Kroot unit, they become OC3, so that's pretty good also, as long as they're not battle shocked, which is the key there. If you become battle shocked, this has no effect. Next, we have Fanatical Convert, 10 points, Kroot model only. The bearer's unit has for the greater good ability, so they can be guided, basically. They cannot take a marker drone, I don't believe, so you can't actually be giving anything ignores cover with them, but they can be guiding stuff, or you can be guiding them. You're going to use them to guide stuff. You're not going to guide them, but that's cool. 10 points, not terrible. Transponder Lock Module, 25 points, Tau Empire Walker model with the Deep Strike ability only. Why didn't they just say a commander? Is there some other Tau Empire Walker that isn't a commander? So, the bearer's unit can be set up using the Deep Strike ability in the reinforcement step of your first, second, or third movement phase, regardless of any mission rules. During your first movement phase, when you set up the bearer's unit, it must be set up within 12 inches of one or more friendly Kroot or Vespid Stingwing units, and not within 9 inches of any enemy units. Okay. So it's a little bit of restriction there compared to some of the other ones that we've seen that allow you to deep strike first turn. The Bridgehead Strike, that had a enhancement that let you do this as well, which is pretty good, admittedly. Not that that detachment is as good as the Combined Arms or Combined Regiment. It's not as good. I don't care what any of you say. But that is a good enhancement. Being able to deep strike on the first turn, you can really alpha strike someone really hard. So this is pretty good. This allows you to come down turn 1, destroy something, probably have +1 AP if your Vespids are flying up, or if your Kroot are doing cool things and they're scouting, and then they're like advancing into 9-inch range. +1 AP, deep strike during your first turn, boom, dead unit. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And the same thing with the Guard. You can have like a 15-man unit just deep strike turn 1 and just blow something up, because they do get +1 to wound when they come down as well. So that is a pretty good ability to have. Grey Knights have a similar ability. They just don't have any good shooting. So that is our detachment rule and our enhancements. Let's take a peek at our stratagems here. Experimental modifications. This is 1 CP. It's in your shooting or fight phase. You target a Kroot or Vespid unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight until the end of the phase. Improve the armor penetration characteristic of weapons equipped by models in the unit by 1. I think I like this more on Vespids, because Vespids are strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage already. And if you take a 10-man unit, they get like a bunch of different special weapons and stuff. They're actually not bad. So +1 AP on that, that seems pretty good. Is it going to be super impactful? That remains to be seen, because they do hit on 4s. You cannot guide them. You cannot give them ignores cover with marker lights. So it's probably fine. It is also in the fight phase, which is actually somewhere that I like it the most, because of what I was saying before, where this army might actually want combat units like the Rampagers. The Rampagers, I want to say, are strength 6 AP 1, 2 damage. This makes them strength 6 AP 2, 2 damage, and that can go a long way against a lot of things. So I like that the most in combat. Multi-sensor scanning, 1 CP. Your shooting or fight phase, 1 Tau Empire unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight, as always. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If it's a Kroot or Vespid Stingwing unit, you can reroll the wound roll instead. Yeah, again, really good on Rampagers. Like, they want you to take Rampagers in this detachment, because 2 of these abilities, +1 AP, reroll wounds, both really good on Rampagers, and Rampagers are already a good unit. So that's what we got for our multi-sensor scanning. Interlocking Maneuvers is going to be the next one for 1 CP. At the end of the fight phase, you target a Tau Empire unit from your army that was eligible to fight this phase. If your unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches. Otherwise, it can make a fallback move. It cannot embark in a transport. It cannot embark within a transport at the end of this move if it disembarks from a transport this turn. More inconsistency. I fucking hate it. Get better, GW. Get good. So there's a lot of strats that let you move again, as we know. And sometimes they'll say you can embark in a transport. Sometimes they say that you can't embark in a transport. Sometimes they don't say anything. And then sometimes they say this, where if you got out of a transport, you can't get back into the transport. So just make it the same. God, it makes me crazy, dude. All right, so overall, very good. So this is the end of the fight phase. If your unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6. Otherwise, it can make a fallback move. Okay. So this is just good. This is just good. This allows, if you charge them with rampagers, you kill a bunch of stuff, they attack, and then they kill even more stuff. So I was saying they kill a bunch of stuff when they impact, and then they kill a bunch of stuff with their combat. You can then make a normal move of up to 6 inches as long as they're not within engagement range anymore. Let me just explain to you why this is so good. If you're not within 3 inches of an objective, you can't actually move onto the objective. I find this problem all the time when I'm playing games. Maybe I just suck. But sometimes when I charge into combat, I just wipe the unit, and it was in a place where, because you have to get as many models in base to base as possible, and you can finagle that a bit, but when you pile in, you want to get as many guys into combat as possible, you pull yourself away from objectives sometimes, and if you pull yourself too far, you can't actually move to get back onto the objective because you're over 3 inches away. This, if you wipe that enemy unit out, you can just move 6 inches, so you can just move onto the objective, or you can move behind a wall. If you have multiple units in combat. Like, let's say you have a Rampager squad in combat and some of your suits also got charged. That maybe they didn't attack your suits, they just wanted to try to lock them down. They didn't know you had this strat. You can then just fallback move with those suits. If they have a Cold Star, they're moving 12 inches, and it's basically a Torch Star gambit at that point. It's not the same thing, obviously, but it works in a similar way. And I think it's just good for being able to move on to objectives, because a lot of the time, that's something that you'll find you can't do because you're too far away from it, just because of where you charged from. So this is very good. This is a very good stratagem. Alright, Pheromone Waypoints 1 CP, your movement phase, crewed or Vespid unit from your army that has not been selected to move until the end of the phase. Each time your unit advances, don't roll an advance roll for that. Just add 6, baby! Just add 6! Is this useful? Can you advance and charge? I don't think so. Pretty sure no. The only thing that this is going to be super useful for, unless you can advance and charge, is to be getting your stuff within 9 inches to give everything else plus 1 AP. So that's a thing you have. I don't love these kind of strats that let you just auto-advance 6 inches. They're not usually super useful, but they come in handy in a pinch where, like, you really need to move on an objective. Okay, you've got the 6-inch auto-advance if you need it, instead of using a CP to reroll your 2 into a 1. Alien Expertise, 1 CP, movement phase, any Tau Empire unit. Until the end of the turn, it's eligible to shoot in a turn in which it advanced. Alright, well, there you go. So, if you combine these two things together, let me finish reading it. If it is a crewed or Vespid unit, until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to declare charge in a turn in which it advanced as well. Okay, yeah, so I had to reread the whole thing. It's an advance and charge. So for 2 CP, you can be moving pretty fast and charging and doing impact mortal wounds, kind of like out of nowhere. And then if you really want to, make them plus 1 AP. If you have 4 CP, just move them behind a wall. You're not going to have 4 CP to do all that stuff, most likely. But yeah, that's great. Being able to advance and charge, you might not need the auto 6. Sometimes you just roll the dice. But yeah, that gives you, I think they move 7 for the Rampagers. So this is a 13-inch move, if I'm correct, plus a charge. You're probably getting there. So I like this a lot. I like it a lot. Guided Fire, 1 CP, your shooting phase, 1 Tau Empire unit from your army, excluding Crute and Vespid units that has not been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the strength characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit. If your unit is wholly within 9 inches of Crute or Vespid, add 2 to the strength characteristic instead. Interesting. Okay, so let's just think for a moment what this really does. This makes our missiles strength 9. That's a pretty nice breakpoint to have. This makes our plasma guns and anything that's strength 8, strength 10. This makes our Melta strength 11. That's very good on a unit of the Sunforged battlesuits because they reroll wounds, they reroll damage, they're being guided, and they reroll ones to hit probably because Shadow Sun's nearby. So, maybe not. But so you get to strength 11 with reroll wounds and reroll damage on that unit. They're going to be wounding far, far more often because normally when I use them, they wound on 5s. And with full rerolls, you know, you're talking about half. Now you're wounding on 3s, rerollable. that's an 89% chance to wound. So that can be really good, even at +1 strength when you're just equaling the toughness. If you're targeting toughness 10, of course, that's usually the good example there. Becoming strength 10 from strength 9, that puts you from a 55% chance to wound to a 75% chance to wound. That's like 36% more, so, or just in the 30s, 30-something range off the top of my head. So yeah, very, very nice to have. Yeah, it's only shooting phase, so it doesn't affect your combat, not that you'd want it to. But yeah, this is pretty damn good. This makes all your burst cannon strength 7. Like, that's a pretty nice breakpoint to have going over toughness 6. So yeah, I like it. Overall, a lot of good strats. This one's not super useful unless you combine it with like something like Advance and Charge. But yeah, +1 AP in combat, pretty good. What was this one? Reroll all wounds in combat. Yeah, very, very nice to have on your Rampagers. Being able to move again. I think I had highlighted the wrong one earlier, but being able to move 6 inches, just get onto a point or move backward or something. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Advance and Charge. +2 strength on your weapons. Imagine if you could take big units of cyclic ion blasters still. Oh my god. It would just be strength 10. That would be nuts. Alright. And that's it. So that's our detachment for Tau. That's the auxiliary Cadre. I actually really like this. I think it's actually pretty damn strong. Is it as good as some of the other ones that we have? That remains to be seen. The thing that I like the most about this detachment in general is the fact that it actually lets you play Rampagers, because you now have combat units. Thank fucking God. You now have combat units that are actually somewhat decent with all of your shooting stuff. You can actually play like a normal army now. And this attachment lets you do that because it affects so much of your stuff. +1 AP, that is very, very strong. That's really, really good. As long as they're within 9 inches of a Crute or a Vespid unit. That's very, very good. Making all of your Crute stuff lone opt with an 18 seems pretty good when it's on Rampagers and stuff. So overall, I think they kind of nailed this one. But I just don't know if it's as good as the other ones, but it lets you play in the way that you want to. It lets you play a normal army, and you actually have 3 phases instead of 2 now. So, I like it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thunderhammer that like, subscribe, and bell icon. Check out the other videos. Check out the second channel. Go laugh at me while I get mad. And I think that's it. So, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Theory hard, and I'll see you back at the lab.